Joey beat everybody within 22 seconds. Joey was here. Hello, Joey. I guess it's their Friday night in Europe, especially Excalibur is they're probably outing. And David in Texas, it's only 2 hours ahead, I guess. That makes it 3 o'clock. It's Friday. Oh, maybe they could be still at work. Anyhow, it's you and I for now, and we'll see who will get the notification. So we have about it's probably 10:30 in Europe, the latest, or maybe we're 1 hour ahead. Yeah, it's 10:30 or 8:30 in Europe, so we're not too late for them. Here is Nasro from Atlantic City, and so UK is probably what, 8 hours? It's 8:30 or 9:30. So we should be able to reach most of the people who usually join. We're not too late. We're earlier than yesterday by about an hour and a half. So let's see. In the meantime, we can start. If you guys have something that you already prepared to ask, we can start. You know, I made a new concoction today for my tea, and I have to admit, it's pretty gross. but the show must go on. I must have a tea in my hand, so I will drink the damn thing. It's good for me. Wunderbar. Nasro, you're actually number 2, because Joey was first, but he just wrote 2 messages, so that's still number 2 for you. Joey, why are you sorry for? What happened? Yeah, I know. I make myself laugh. That's the effect I have on myself. This totally is an amazing concoction that I thought I'm actually going to create something new. Yes. Joey, either you're speaking a different language, or it's someone's name, or you are drinking something, because I couldn't understand. Akshamlar. Li Aksham. Okay, oh, I see. Here it is, the translation. I should send you Turkish tea, sir. No, there are lots of good tea here. It's just that I decided not to drink black tea, and I've been switching it around, and then I got tired of the herbal teas, and then I have my own concoction, because I usually have a mixture of a bit of a cranberry juice, pure cranberry juice, no sugar or anything, and then crystallized beet from Germany. I put a powder in it and then hot water. But I ran out of the I ran out of the cranberry juice for a bit. I've been forgetting to buy it. So now I've been mixing this with the lemon, which is okay, but today the lemon was very old, so it kind of smelled like an old lemon. And then I put some chamomile tea in it too. And this thing, it needs a trophy, whoever can drink this. And I am out to get it. Yummy. It's all in the mind. Unfortunately, it's in my tummy now. And it wants to come out of my mind. However, it's good for me. It helps lots with lots of, what is it? I forgot. Nitric oxide production and all that. It's very good for you. Anyhow. In Turkish, it means good evening. Let me try it. Li akşamlar. Li akşamlar. Okay, I hope I pronounced it right. Thank you, Nasrul. So, yes, Joey, I think you're right. This, what I've made here, if a dead person will drink it, he will definitely will be back in life. Or a live one drink it, will join the dead one. Either one of them, I'm not sure which. So it looks like it's, for now, everybody is fast asleep, or they're probably out and about in discos or restaurants. It's Friday night. There is, life is good. It says, my goal in life is laugh as much as myself at myself as you do. I love it. Okay, yes, that is my motto as well. In fact, I used to drive to to Portland. See, I've been trained for this. This jubilant mood. I used to travel to Portland every week for years, or I don't know for how long. And I would travel direct from here, go there, do my training. At the time it was martial art trainings. And then I would come back the evening of the day that I had the training. So I would drive from here at night or afternoon, stay over somewhere in Seattle, then I would drive in the morning of Sunday to Portland, do my training, and then a few hours later or a bunch of hours later head back. And sometimes I had business to attend, I would still do the same, and it would take me late at night. So when I was driving back, it was middle of the night, and it was a long drive, and I was by myself in the car. So I decided to make myself laugh. So I would make jokes, funny imitations. And I was just wondering, what would other cars, if there was any, which there weren't much, would see me laugh by myself in the car? What would they be thinking? So, so I've been trained to be able to be my own entertaining entity when I'm by myself, and usually create the mood that I hope to get. So now, Nasru said, because it's very unique laughter. Okay, good. So now, guys, having had our chit chat for a while, and you don't have to wait for others to show up. If you have something on your mind, we can start. Sometimes it happens like this, that we go to a slow start, and then suddenly the questions and everybody shows up. But sometimes, right from the beginning, we got a bunch of people with their questions lining up, which is a fast-moving session, which is also wonderful. However, I can use the break. Didn't sleep much anyhow, so the slower the better. Joy says they will think that life is good and full of cheers. Good. Joey says, I don't know if this question will be accurate or no, but like I do have midterms and most of time I get stressed, which makes me not to concentrate too much on exam. What is your stress about? What is the source of the stress? What is the concept? What is the thought pattern that comes to your head and that creates the stress? Because as you know, when it is the thought that brings that emotion, it is the thought that brings that reaction. So what is that thought? You got to go to the thought, and what is the subject that is concerning you that you need to ponder on, which then it sometimes becomes lingering in your head and interjects in whatever it is that you're doing, as it wants to get resolution, as it wants to get your attention, because it has created certain kind of a unsafe situation for itself with that belief, with that thought, with that assumption. So it's asking for process to get that done. And then you have two choices. One is to simply say, I don't have time for that shit. Don't recognize to entertain that. I know it's nonsense, and you just simply focus on what it is that you need to be focusing, recognizing, acknowledging the thought, but not entertaining the thought. It's two different things. If you don't acknowledge the thought, it constantly knocks on the door, wants you to acknowledge it. But once you acknowledge it, then it shuts up, because then you choose not to play with it, not to entertain it, not to let it expand, because you decided, I've already thought about this. I've already came to a conclusion about this. Because those thoughts that apparently brings that kind of a stress or whatever in your mind, it's not the first time. You've already thought of them before. They've already appeared in your head, already concerned you, brought you distress. You thought of it, and you came to some kind of an understanding. Now, if it happens again, you need to simply recognize, acknowledge the thought that is there, but then fortify your decision about that thought, that you've already attended to it before. Knowing that, you don't need to go through it again to get it to a certain kind of a point that is kind of a closure on that subject in your mind. So simply say, I know, and then focus on what you're doing, because you've already taken care of it. It's like a homework that you've already done, and you happen to see that book again. You say, oh, I've done that. You recognize that it should be done, but I've done that. You remember you've done that. The work is right there on the notebook, so you see it's done. So you don't fuss with it anymore. The other thing is, the other choice that you have is simply focusing to what you do, and not being deviated from what it is that you want to accomplish, knowing the priorities that you say, okay, I'll deal with it later. Like you say, okay, make an appointment. I'm now busy with this. It's not that you're ignoring it, and you give some kind of a false hope to your mind that I will come back to you. So it'll shut up knowing that it will get the attention that you want, but you will end up doing the stuff that you need to do. So now the stress is probably because you feel something is stopping you from actually attending to what it is that has priority in your life. That's the reason for the stress, unless it's something that you really need to take care of it and you're worried about it. But again, we go to the worry. Why the worry is there? Because you compare what if I don't attend it, what it will be happening if I don't take care of this. So you compare to what it was before this subject arose and what it is, and will it still be the same tomorrow or will it not? So comparing to what it was to what it is and what it will be, it brings that anxiety and worry and so on. So having said that, let me see what actually came up with as the answer to what is the source of that stress. Makes me not to concentrate much on exam. Okay, because of fear that I can't do nice score. There we go. So your case is not about something that you wanted to resolve. It's not something that is a transient thought. It's about fear, worry. Which worry and fear, there is really no such thing as fear. We're not talking about fear of dangerous animals or some truck about to hit you. Those are you react on instinct and you jump out of the way and you do what you got to do. We're not talking about fear of that sort. We're talking about there is no fear in the sense of the fear only comes to be when you compare what it was to what it is and what it could be or what it will be. Yesterday I had pain in my tummy, let's say. I am okay now. I wonder if I'll be okay tonight or tomorrow, or will it be painful again like if it was. So I created last night time. My thought created time. So I'm now saying I had pain last night and I compare it to what it is now. It's better now. Now then I'm comparing to what it will be, because my mind is looking for trouble and I want to make sure things are okay. And that comparison, what it was, pain, what it is, better, and will it be pain tonight or okay, these are what creates that anxiety and fear. Otherwise, if I can be living with the moment and just focus on the fact that I'm okay now, and if it wasn't, and if I feel the same, then I will see what needs to be done. But I'm okay now at the moment with this thing. Okay, I don't have to change what it is, what my life is right now, to think about the past, because the past is dead, is not there. It's now, and now I don't have any pain. So why is it that I think about the pain that I had and I compare it to the fact that is no pain right now, which is good? Then why do I go further? What if it comes again? Because the brain is designed to look for trouble, and if there's not, it starts worrying about it just to make sure you're prepared with it. Instead of that, just be with the moment, be with the present moment, and just enjoy what it is. If it was painful, you'll deal with it. If it's not, not. So your exam, you know that the reason, the only way that you can do good in your exam, if you actually complete your study. So if you stop comparing to what it could be, the scenarios that I could not pass, or I could pass, I could get this grade, or I could not get this grade, all these, instead of doing that, just focus on what needs to be done in order you would have a better chance to get the results you're looking for. What is that? Is to fully use the time that you have. So give priority to it. Say, okay, I will not worry about that because it's irrelevant. I am not there. It is now. It is not tomorrow when tomorrow will be now. This is not the tomorrow now. It is the now now. In the now now, I have time. Nothing can stress me because I can still study. So in order to get the result I want, I should focus on this, not focus on what it will be. Focus on where I am, what I'm doing, what I can do, so I will get the result. And that is exactly contrary to what your mind is trying to do, to tell you worry, and you say no. For not worrying and not getting the result that I'm scared of, I'm going to use the time that I have, which is now. So I'm going to attend to the now, live in the now, not in what is not yet arrived, and not what it was last year. I didn't do good in this test or whatever. So I focus on studying and using the time, because that is exactly what I need to do to get this stress out. The remedy of not being stressed out for the result of your study is to actually not worry about it and focus on preparing for it. If you think that way, then you will override the worry that comes, because you say, there is no evidence that I will not do good. The only thing I can do is to do my best. That's all. Limit yourself, limit the expectations from yourself by saying, I will do my best. That's all. The rest, don't worry. And when you go to the test, don't worry what you didn't read or you did read or whatever it is. Oh, I should have read that chapter again. No. All you have to say is that you sit there, you relax, and you say, I did my best and I'm going to do my best with whatever I know. No more thinking about what I could have done better or more. That puts you in a mood of positive, confident, to do with what you got. See, in life, that is the secret. To do with what we got, rather than wondering, oh, if I had this, well, let's do the best we can with what we got. Let's do the best you can with the time you got left. So focus on that, use that resources, rather than letting it be jeopardized. But the thought of what if, which that it takes itself takes your time, and that's the one that can create possibly the catalyst for the results that you don't want, by spending your time about things that hasn't happened yet. I hope that's something for you to use. And Nastro says, I just finished my clinical hours. I'm going to be at OBGYN. Oh, okay. Well, now I'm a medical student, but I have a long way to go, if God will. You'll be fine. Just take it a day at a time. There's only now. That's the only thing that exists. So do what you can do in the now. And then when tomorrow is another now, then do what you can do in that now, and stop worrying about that I have to have all the nows that will be now, so I can have all the nows now, so I know I have all the time. No. It's like saying I want to have all the food in the world, so I will never go hungry. No. Eat the food in front of you, and then when you're hungry, and you will probably have some way to get another portion of food. But if you worry about all the food that you won't even be able to enjoy the food that is in front of you, because your body is here, your need is here, but your mind is always thinking about, what if I don't have food again? And that takes away your ability to do your best, and neither will you enjoy the food that you already have in front of you. Joe says, how do you know if you're fighting with your girlfriend because of ego or because of principles? What are those principles? Who put that principle? What do you think? The principle is right? What's right in principle for you could be not of an issue for somebody else. So what are those principles? Where is their authority? Where did they come from? It's made up in your mind through your traditions, religion, conditioning, customs. And who put those on? Somebody who thought that would be serving them okay, and that was carried through, and your consciousness have been conditioned to think that is a necessity for your life or for your relationship, and that is actually bonding you, limiting you from being able to interact intelligently according to what works for both of you. Now, if there's a point in there, according to what makes you comfortable, well, you can discuss it with your girlfriend, and then she can discuss her views, and if you guys are on the same wavelength, well, they'll work out. If not, then you can simply make a decision what you want to do, rather than constantly trying to force each other to comply to what it is that you think it should be. There are certain things that obviously, you know, both parties will not prefer, would not like it. But there are certain things that you actually gotta seek from searching your psyche, that why is it I want that? Is it really that necessary? Or just makes me feel to comply with the conditionings that I've received in my consciousness according to my religion and customs and rules and society's stuff that put it. So is it really actually me who wants that, or is it my conditioning? And if I can free myself from that conditioning and just look at it objectively, then I guess we can resolve it between me and my girlfriend together, rather than trying to fight for something that really is not important. You can figure out if it's your ego or not by just going into your head and say, what is it going to do for me? Or what is it going to, how is it going to harm me? And what is that me that is going to get harmed? What part of me is going to get harmed? And is there harm to her? Or is she also coming from the same angle that I'm going? She's trying to satisfy her ego. These are things that you can explore together. So Life is Good says, you seem such a balanced and positive person who is just enjoying life and doesn't take anything too serious. You should know me better. How did you accomplish this? Were you always like this, or did you work on yourself? No, I was not like this, and I still got a lot to work on, because we all have. Why? Because we are not constant. The movement of the mind is constant in movement. It's not like, okay, it's now I'm going to change whatever it was, and that change will be subject to nothing. But that change is also subject to change, because my movement of mind, my understanding of life, my vision of how things are, my perception of things is also according to my expansion and development and knowledge, additional knowledge is changing. So it's a continuous work. You just get more and more advanced in your research, but the research should be on yourself, about yourself, before you can help others, and all through you can work on yourself while you're sharing it with the others as well. So it's a continuous process. It's not like I've arrived to a certain level that I don't need to, or no. It is a continuous process. Everything is new, and depending on what affected you just a minute ago and what frame of mind you are, and if you're still able to keep the mind with infinitely imperceptible decreasing ripples, or you got lots of waves in there, then you will interact with the new thing maybe not as good as you want it to. So you got to always be aware of how this is working, and to be able to not seek refuge in the images, so you won't deal the issues while you have a certain image. If you abandon the images, then you're free from trying to protect that image that you have of you in yourself, in your mind, and you will deal with the issue. But while you have an image and you go into negotiation of certain issue in life, whether personal or not, with an image of you, the image is trying to interfere, and you're trying to satisfy you as the image that you have, which will interfere with the way that you would actually deal with the situation if you had no image in your mind at the time. Because the mind seeks refuge in images, and that's why you have different images when you're going through your daily life. As we said before, you go to shop, you have image of a shopper. Then you abandon that and you go on a bus, you have an image of a passenger. Then you abandon that if you go to classroom, you have an image of student. Then you abandon that when you go to see your parents, you have an image of a daughter or son. You abandon that when you're meeting with your children, you have an image of a father or mother. You have different images, and your mind has no home. It seeks home in the images. But once you learn the mind and body coordination, the art of mind and body coordination, and you will give a home to your mind instead of having it scattered around and think about all sort of things. And every time you want to learn something or study something, you have to collect it from wherever it is scattered to focus it on what you want to learn. Instead, your mind will always be part of you in your body, like everything else is in your body, and you know where they are. You know where your finger is, you know where your wrist is, your nose, your ears, your eyes. You don't have to look for them. They're always there as part of you. But the mind is the thought mind is the only thing that is not having a home in you. But that's why it's scattered all around, and it seeks refuge and a place, a home in images. And then you deal your life with your image and you. And that becomes giving a chance to ego and everything else. But when you learn where you can give home to your mind in the entity where your eyes and nose and hands and legs and everything else is, then you have mind and body coordination. And then your mind doesn't have to look for images to find home, and you will have a person with probably in most cases with no image. And when you have no image, nothing can hurt you. When you have no image, the ego cannot actually be that active. So these are some things that perhaps you would like to enjoy in one of the books that I have, Me, My Psyche and I, which goes through from chapter 32 to chapter 40. It's all about meditation, mind and willpower and so on, and more stuff, and learning about the mind and body coordination, meditation, mind needs a home, and mind seeks truth, and all these things. Plus, of course, another 40 chapters of 50 chapters of different topics in that book. That could be an interesting addition to your library that you might want to enjoy, and of course get it if you haven't yet, while I have it at such a nominal price of what is it, coffee or tea, versus the printed matter version, which is $80 or $100, which is heavy to ship. That's why the shipping has made it expensive. So if you get that, and you will be able to see, in fact, you can go on my site mind@seekstruth.com and click on the book. Each book has a video right beside it. You can see what it is, and then click on the book. You can see the table of contents of the book and what's in there. And then you can click more, and it opens the page, it flips the page, and you can read the sample chapter and so on and so forth. Anyhow, that is a discussion that you will find more information there if this was not enough. So, okay. So, short or long was, no, I focused on working on myself, on learning, which I started learning about the movement of the mind in university, in martial art courses of heavy meditation and techniques, and understanding the coordination of mind and body, and the role, the interaction of mind and body, and how they affect each other and so on. And then through my life and experiences and other things that I learned, and then 5-6 years of heavy concentration on masters who pioneered understanding of their psyche and their thoughts and consciousness, fear, desire, and ego, analyzed it. And this teacher was being approached by all the many important famous psychologists around the world, and physics professors around the world, and being, gave lectures and interviewed by these different entities, and they would gather around him, ask their questions from him, where he had never read anyone else's book, and he had just explored inwardly and found, and he tried to teach us. 100 years ago, 120, 30 years ago, he started teaching that, and that his work has benefited me tremendously. And in combination with what I've learned from his research and pondering on it and analyzing for thousands of hours, literally thousands of hours over many years, and combination of what I had experienced and learned in the martial arts and movement of mind in meditation and so on, and other experiences in life and things that I've written and all that. And then I was able to put them together and bring about these books and be able to work on myself further and share it now with you guys. I think that was good enough answer. Let's see what Joy has to say. Joy says, thank you very much. I feel much more better. Now exams wait for me. I am coming to kick your ass. There we go. That's my boy. There we go. Now on that note, let me see if I can tolerate another sip of this. Ah, wonderful. Wunderbar. Ja, ist ja wunderbar. Oh, God. David, how are you? I remember a while ago, I don't know what kind of a concoction I made. It was a tea. I went out and I decided to make my own tea because I couldn't find the kind of herbal teas that I wanted. And I saw this little clip on internet that this old man from Lebanon, over 120 years old, and he was walking and still doing his things, and his regimen was he had this sort of tea which had certain ingredients. So I said, hey, you know, that sounds good. That must be very healthy if the guy's that old and still having it. So I went and looked for the ingredients, and of course I was, you know, looked a little bit and found the ingredients and added a few ingredients of my own as well while I was at it. And I came home and I put them all together and I made this concoction, and you should have seen my face when I took the first sip. I actually took 3 selfies of myself when I was trying this, and the pictures will actually speak 1,000 words and exactly gives you the experience of what I was tasting. And I was laughing my head off when I was looking those pictures. It was exactly telling me how it was tasting then when I tried it. So this is far, far away from that. If I could take that, and I actually took only a few sips of that thing, that stopped that right away. I can take this. David says, ha, love your German. I'm well. Thanks, how are you? I actually, I see. Good. We are here, David. You are late. What happened to you? And so today it seems like everybody either is sleeping or somehow abandoned our get together here, because I doubt it if they're sleeping, since I'm earlier than other days, and usually we have what, 17, 18, 20, 22, 25 people, which of course later on when I see it, it was a lot more, only that many participated. But today we don't seem to rise people in Europe. They're all maybe out there celebrating or doing something. So anyhow, we're here and we'll be here for another half an hour at least. So if you guys have anything on your mind, we can continue our discussions. Or as long as it takes me to have a violent reaction to this concoction. Whew. Nothing is better than a good tea, and nothing is not as good as not having a good tea. Olga. Dobre diem, Olga. No, Dobrovic is still Vice there. So, good to see you. Are you well? We were just having a laugh here with talking about the concoction that I made today call it tea, which is actually means I gotta go get some fresh lemon and some cranberry juice and make the proper tea that I usually like. But this today is just a filler and is actually disgusting. Disgusting concoction. However, we must train ourselves. Oh, for difficult times. Oh. Okay. Life is good says, I have to go to sleep now. Thank you for answering my question and good night. Good night, dear. Is it not? Oh, it is now about 11 o'clock, I think, in Europe somewhere. I think life is good. Probably, I don't know, Sweden? Possibly? I forgot where she was from. Okay. So don't forget to click likes, guys. Joey says, I remember that in old videos you were drinking lemonade, which you recommended, which consists of green apple and lemon. It was, oh, that drink is the best drinks almost I have ever had. That is some beautiful drink. But this, the one that I was talking to you about, was just about a couple of months ago, and it was just the worst thing, one of the worst things I had tried, my own concoction, and was just, ugh. Hello, Philly. Just wanted to say hi, Mehran, Philly 30 UK. Good of you to stop by. And Joey says you should switch to it again. Yeah, I should. But you know, I'm trying to stay away from sugar as much as I can. But then again, green apples and the lemon, and oh God, that was great. That's one of the greatest. That's the best way to make a lemonade. No sugar, all natural and very delicious. You get 3 or 4 apple, preferably green apples, 3 apple, and then 1 whole lemon with skin and all. Or if you don't want it that tart, maybe half lemon. But I like it more. So that's it. That'll give you the most amazing tasting lemonade you've ever had. At least that's my opinion. Philly 9:45. Yeah, that's right. It's 9:45 in UK. I wonder where the heck everybody is. I tell you, they're in bars and discos and drinking, and that's okay. The lemonade recipe is just 3 green apple and or 4, depending on how tart you want to be, and 1 whole lemon, the yellow ones, with skin and all. That's it. Juice them together. You can't stop drinking that thing. It's just amazing. Okay. Joy says it's 11:30 in Turkey. Oh, really? 11:30 in Turkey. That means 10 hours. 10 hours ahead. My favorite tea brand these days, actually I don't have any. I used to have Assam. I loved Assam because it wasn't that strong in caffeine, and then some cardamom mixed in it, and maybe perhaps some mix. I don't know what mixture it was. But there are lots of different. I like jasmine tea also. I've tried all kinds of teas. I read a book on it actually. I enjoyed reading about it. That how French were, I think, the first merchants before British that they started trading from China at the time. That's what the book was saying, of course, and it was very elaborate and all different kind of tea, the process of making, you know, the process of harvesting it and all that. It was very interesting. I enjoyed it, but then again, I'm not drinking that much. I'm still looking for fruit teas which doesn't have sugar content, and it will still be nice and subtle for tummy. So it's a journey. it's a research. David says, Mehran, how can a young man heal a broken heart when there are much more serious problems he has to cope with beside his ex? Could you elaborate a little bit more, David? Because it is enough information to give me a total confusion. So you did a great job. So if you have more important things than thinking about your ex, then why would you think your heart needs healing? Or if you're hurting from your ex, that means she's on your mind. So give me a little bit more info. It's an interesting topic, and I would be more than happy to address it. Olga says, do you usually eat in restaurants, cafe, or at home? I have to concentrate for more serious questions. Yeah, I hope to God that you guys will take advantage of these moments that we have, and rather than finding what I eat, because that would not help you at all. However, due to the fact that we don't have cushions lining up and people with their appointment books waiting to see me at the moment, I will answer. I will attempt to answer that. Well, I have eaten a lot in restaurants, but due to the fact that I could never be sure how much salt or fat or what kind of quality stuff is being used, I would be selecting different restaurants that I thought a little bit more confident in. But recently I've been cooking, easy food. I would prefer, if I could get all my protein readily available from vegetable sources, I would prefer to have vegetables. But I know, especially because I do exercise and so on, I would need to have a more readily available protein, which is unfortunately in the outside world, more of a protein sources are meat stuff, and it's not available, the vegetable sources. So it's kind of a challenge, but my preference is vegetable. But I know that we, especially men, we do need certain amount of fat, and if you eat too healthy, that's also not so good. So I cooked recently. I get like yesterday I got Swiss chard and kale and mushrooms and tomato and Brussels sprouts and all kind of other vegetables and green beans, and cook them with onion and coconut oil, and then of course a grass-fed beef as well, and mix them up and put some little seasoning of a little curry and a little curcumin, and then I had it. I don't fuss with taste so much, as long as it's clean and healthy and not much fat stuff. And the meat was like 10% fat. But these are easy ways for me to make it convenient. So when I come home, I just eat and then do my stuff. So I hope that answers that question, because I don't know that many recipes, so I do what I can. Just like the tea I make, sometimes my food is just, I just eat it, but it's not that delicious. So, but sometimes I do pretty good, actually, pretty good. But I do love restaurants. If I know that their quality is good, I love that whole atmosphere of relaxing and being served and doing my own thing and not worry about washing the dishes. Okay, now Philly says, no beer for me tonight. I'm not in. Is that where you have beer? You should try twining English breakfast. Yeah, it's a bit. I have, but it's okay, I guess. Yeah, green tea is good. Robert. There we go. Robert is kindly reminding everybody that we need to know where you're tuning in from, how old you are, and if you're a man or woman. If your name or your picture doesn't let me know, so at least I know how to properly address you and deliver according to the information that I would have, the basic information. Thank you, Robert, for that. Joy says, sir, I got to leave because it's late night, got to prepare for exam in early morning. Thank you for being so generous to answer my question. My pleasure, Joy. And for the ones who are questioning why Joy says, I've got exam tomorrow, and they think that he's just kidding. No, Saturday is not a holiday in all places in the world, so perhaps they have a special exam for Saturday. Especially in that neck of the wood, Saturday is a weekday, I think. Am I right, Joy, if you're still there? But Saturday is a holiday for us here. So now, going back to, have a good exam tomorrow, Joey, and you'll do great. Just relax and do your best. That's it. No worries. Zahin says, Hola, Mehran. ¿Cómo estás? In English, it means how are you? Yes, I do know. Bene, va bene. Thank you. Gracias. Bene. Of course, it's Italian, but that's my extent of knowledge in Spanish. You know, Italian would probably be understood there as well. Phyllis says, how can you prevent yourself feeling stale in life? Stale? What are you, a bread? What are you talking about? I'm not talking about difficulties, just almost a boredom or staleness. Same cue for relationship too, by the way. How to not get stale. Well, you know, it's not about, if you look at yourself as an entity that when becomes something, that something stays always the same, then you would maybe feel stale because you think that's you, that's who you are. You don't see changes in yourself every morning that you get up, you look in the mirror, you still look the same. And if you only go that deep that you are what you see, then you may think that everything else needs to be changing around you for you to feel the change. But if you actually think of yourself as a mind and body coordination, you see yourself as content of your consciousness, you see yourself as expanding knowledge and research, you see yourself as interacting with life and understanding your psyche every day more and more, and trying to avoid to have all these images that interferes with you knowing about yourself, and try to live life with that image, imageless, then you will see that your mind is constantly moving and advancing and developing, and the changes are always, so there's no staleness. By you exploring in how you are, why you do what you do, what things you need to do to better yourself, what more understanding you need to know about yourself, how you go about that, all those will stop you from feeling stale. Stale is when you wait and wait for the world around you to change, not noticing that you are constantly, every moment, every second is changing, as everything else in this world is changing. And when you become oblivious to the changes that is happening naturally and automatically all the time, 24/7, including from your cells and molecules and atoms of everything that is constantly in movement and changing, then of course you will be bored. But when you realize that you are part of the whole universal movement and changing in molecular level, atomic level, and you can bring it out to a reality of your life where you can recognize these changes in yourself by exploring inwardly, then you will have different perceptions of what you call life, which so far has been in death of the past, because most of your life is spent in your memory, and memory is the past. You're perceiving things. When you look at things, you really don't see it how it is, you just recognize it. Then from recognition, you go into finding similarities that of the same situation or same thing, and compare it with what it was in your memory information that you have of that thing, and suddenly you're no longer in connection with what it is that you started recognizing, and you're living that what you think you're experiencing in your memory, which means the living, what you call living, is death of the past. So if you are able to constantly explore inwardly, you will avoid this travel, this journey of constantly in the past with everything that you come in touch with. You got to go in there, you go into your memory and you perceive it as somehow, someday ago, it was the way it was in your memory, that experience or that thing, and therefore you miss the whole chance of connecting with that, what it is that you were trying to experience and negotiate your daily life. So stale is a state of the mind. If your life is limited to physical explorations, it will always be more limited than you could ever think. But if your life would be about recognition of the movement of the universe, movement of life, and explore inwardly about your reaction to these movements and the actual movements of your own mind and how it all appears and what are the elements that has a lot to do with the way you are, feel, think, act, and react, then you would not feel stale. Go deeper than the physical world and you will not feel so disconnected. When you think about your physical entity and not consider the energy and the connection you have with the events of life, with the universal energy, then you will feel stale because you've limited your living, your connection with the whole entirety of the experience of this journey of life. Getting a little bit too heavy, so we move on to David. My mind is at peace, but my heart still wants to go back. Are we going back on my question that I asked for more information? Let's see. I think so. You deleted that question, so you perfectly throwing me off. That's okay. So David says, my mind is at peace, but my heart still wants to go back. Moment, guys, a break time. Everybody click on like before we forget, because we need that algorithm to work for us. So please click on like, and make sure you don't click on unlike, because we get some of that some of those nuisance that they don't even participate, but they just like to enjoy themselves with whatever it is that they have in their mind. So David says, my mind is at peace, but my heart still wants to go back. So is it your heart that wants to go back? Because if your mind is at peace, that's where the happiness comes from. Are you sure that your heart is not being mixed up with pleasure, seeking pleasure, remembering the pleasure files, and you want that intimacy and that pleasure and the memories in the field of the known? You want to feel secure, so you know everything, so you go back in your memory, and in your memory everything is known, everything is already clear for you, and that's where you seek refuge. And you think then by going back to her you can create the same atmosphere of knowing it and being aware and security as you find it in your memory, and that may be your motivation to want to go back. Is it? Or is it really like, what then? If your mind doesn't justify to be back with her, and you say your heart does, is it that you're looking for that security, that everything is in the same order that it was, because you miss the order, or do you miss her? Do you miss the mechanical process of how your day would start and end with the things that you were doing, and she was part of it, or part of that whole mixed theater of the day, and the order would have been created using certain mechanical process of your day-to-day events? Is that what you're missing, or you're missing her? Is it the pleasure of it that you only are focused on, therefore you want her? Or are you actually bringing the files that were the files that caused the breakup and differences and divisions, and then you still want to go back to her? Or are you selecting the memories that were fancy and then enjoyable, and then suddenly you think the whole thing was like the enjoyable memories that you're selecting. Are you missing the order of things? Are you missing the security that you find in your memory? And are you thinking going back to her is going to be like the selected files that you find in your memory and you enjoy it? Or are you really actually missing the one that you have obviously had enough reason, or both of you or one of you, to break up? So where did those reasons go? Do you bring those reasons up when you think of it? When you think that you want to, your heart says you want to go back, do you also quickly bring the files that caused the breakup? Or you just select, oh, it's pleasurable, let me just think illusion of that relationship. That's how it was. I just want to select that. That's how it was. So I enjoy it and I feel good about it. Is that not the case, or is it something else? And we go on. It says, I need a strong heart now for my family, which I do not have. The breakup was terrible. You need a strong heart for your family. Could you explain what the you have children, David? What family are you talking? Are you is it your wife that you broke up with? Is it your girlfriend you broke up with? Give me the info, throw me the bone, as Dr. Evil says. So please, I'm good, but I can't guess things. So David, now, David says, sorry, I deleted my last one. I'm shy. I apologize. Don't be shy. If any place you want to be, at ease, it should be here. Nobody here has any malice in mind. I don't think, at least. Okay, so until I get your response, let's see what Joey says. Joey says, I am studying finance in Bosphorus University, so we do have classes on Saturdays too. There we go. A non-thesis program works like that. Thank you, sir. We'll do all the best. Good for you, Joey. All the best. Philly says, read Joey's situation and wanting of pleasure, stability, security. How can you truly control your thoughts, feelings, to just move on and be happy without those past memories, comforts, when you feel you lost them? Well, you have to focus. If you only focus on what you are seeing, which is a limited knowledge, then you will think that's all what you see is all what it is, and the only way that you want to think about it is the only way you should be thinking about it. But if you go one step further and think that everything has a duration, a relationship that was at one time a relationship and no longer is, it's part of the whole flow of the universe. It's part of the way of the river. Everything has a duration, and when the duration ends, you got to recognize and understand its duration ends, and that's part of the natural life. The whole business of me, the most important thing in the world for me is the me, as it is for you, the me is the most important thing in the world. The whole entirety of this, that why anything else matters, is because the me is alive, is there, has a duration. You're okay with the duration, acceptance that the fact that life eventually ends. But you're not okay with all the fragments of this journey of life. The biggest thing that is the most important one, which is our life, we have accepted that that has a duration. When our father dies or some loved one dies and so on, we go through the grief, and eventually, but we accept whether because we have no other choice or whatever it is, we accept. But that is the most important thing. If someone's girlfriend or wife dies, they eventually accept. But if they break up, they don't understand that that is the smaller version of death. The duration, if we accept that life can have duration, and so when the girlfriend or a wife or someone's loved one dies, you endure it, you grieve, but you endure it, you accept it, you go on, and you intellectually understand it. Whether it's because you know you have no other choice or whatnot, but you go on with it, you accept it. But when you break up, you suddenly think that this thing should not have ended. It should be an anomaly away from everything else in life that has duration. This shouldn't have. Show me something that doesn't have a duration. And then we will talk about your expectation of breakup. You cannot be having fun and be relaxed after a breakup, as you put it in here, Philly. How can you truly control your thoughts, feeling to just move on and be happy without those past memories, comfort when you feel you lost them? Exactly as I said, because you have to focus not on what you have lost, not on what is not the way that it used to be, on the fact that the principal life is that everything has a duration. When it comes to breakup, suddenly the ego is there, the desire is there, the pleasure is there, the intimacy is there, the memories are there, and suddenly they become your life, where the memory is the instrument to record what happens, whatever happens has a duration. You're not supposed to think that the memory is supposed to be your actuality, and as long as you can think of that something, therefore that what is in your memory that you can think of, it should become your actuality and should continue forever. That's just a memory for your records. It's not supposed to mean just because you can remember it, then you should have it. Well, it's like you have an apple and you eat it. And then you remember that I ate the apple, and you say, well, I want the apple. Well, you ate it. But I'm sad because I want the apple. You ate it. Now the memory that you have is the memory that you did something. You had the apple. The duration of having that apple ended. You used it. It was for something. You used it. You got the nourishments. You grew. You developed because of that what was stored in the apple. That apple had a role, and that role ended when you used it up. The relationship has a role, and it has a duration. You used it up. You were involved in that relationship. The relationship, therefore, had its job, and its duration finished, like the apple. You ended it, whether naturally, whether mutually, whether you decided, whether it didn't work, whether she left you. It was an it was a fragment of your life, an experience, exploration. It had a purpose, and it was there for the movement of your mind and development and expansion and exploration and advancement of your understanding and experience of the journey of life. And it did its job. Now you say, I think of it, I had a relationship, I want it. Well, you ate the apple, you had the relationship, that was its duration. It's finished. Why can't you understand that? Why can't you on that basis logically understand that? Just as you understand the death of a family. And yet you go on and you be happy. You never ask, why is it that my father has died and I still laugh and I still go to disco, and you will go and enjoy celebrations of different things? Why is it that not your question here, but you question the relationship? Duration ends as if it's supposed to be, whatever you think of in your memory and your thoughts, then it should become your actuality forever, not recognizing that everything has a duration, and you used that catalyst, that situation, that relationship was a catalyst for you to learn certain things or to experience that was part of your experience of this life. And that was it. You used it up. It was consumed. Like the gas you put in the tank of your car, and you now traveled, and you got somewhere, and you say, I want the gas. Well, it was there for you to get there. But I remember I had a full tank of gas. Yes, you did. But it had a purpose, and its purpose has been done, has been accomplished. Your thoughts and memory just becomes to you, and you think of something, a relationship, whatever it was. It doesn't mean that you should now claim it, request it, want it. It was used and no longer there. For it, you got the memory. You used it, you experienced it, now you have the memory. But because you have the memory, which is we record, our brain records 24/7, we record things, doesn't mean just because you have the recording of it, now you want, just like as you bought you bought a video of a movie, and you say, oh, now I want the actual when they were making it. Well, it's for you to enjoy, and the theater finished, and you have a memory of that play, that when you went to Broadway or wherever it was and you saw the play, and you say, I want that again. Well, that's what the memory is. So when the duration finishes, you enjoy the memory if you want, or you just have a knowledge of it, and then you accept it and you go on. But you can't expect that memory to become your actuality, and because it can't, then you can't be happy. But you accept the death, but you don't accept this. Now, having said that, let me have a sip of this wonderful tasting tea to calm me down. Disgusting. Okay. All right. Now, Olga says, one renowned psychologist in Russia has 6 rules for neurotic people, and one of these rules is answer only if you're asked. He says that if you can't hear silence, that's neurotic. For example, if you are with a friend and the friend says something like nice weather but doesn't ask anything then you shouldn't answer. You can say what you want, but it shouldn't be yes, good weather. Many people don't understand it because it's easy to lose friends like that. But he says we always answer without a question because we are neurotic, not because we really want it, because we are dependent on people, etc. It's hard to explain here, so my question is, yeah, let's get to the question. What do you think about that, Mehran? Well, I don't know who that is and what people say. I really don't necessarily focus on what other people say. I try to inwardly understand. Well, from what you're telling me, it tells me that we've discussed this in the videos before, that people think the attention and reaction that they want from people is based on the fact that they need affirmation. They want to be counted because all their childhood they've been compared to the others, and they have learned the value and affirmation that they have, the value that they have, worth and value that they have or they seek, comes from other people's satisfaction and affirmation. And the teacher says, oh, such and such a good boy, he got a good grade, and look at such and such boy, he's so polite, or dressed so nicely, or got a good grade in math. Always compared. So you're looking for that affirmation from the others to feel that you have accomplished certain level of worthiness. And of course, I go further about those videos. Of course, those videos are pretty elaborate, but in here we don't have that much time. However, what you're referring to is the fact that people respond because people are interested to seek refuge in an image. Their mind, their thought doesn't have a home in themselves. They can't manifest mind and body coordination. The mind is all over the place. They want to have it home. They want to have an image of themselves that would be impressive, somehow to feel comfortable, because when the mind is out there, the energy is flowing and they can't harness it, but they say something in order to create an image. And that image is where they accumulate their thoughts in their mind, and they present themselves through that image. And they feel if the image that they present could get an affirmation, that would add to their value. So that's basically why people break the silence and say something, because they want to be liked, they want to get affirmed, they don't want anybody feel or give a negative energy to them, and so on and so forth. But there are people who don't give a damn about it, which is very good. So that is a short of a discussion, because that can go a little bit longer, as I'm sure you know. David says, maybe someday I'll find the words to explain. It's like eating needles, even thinking about the issue. Well, is there any benefit to thinking about the issue? And as long as I really don't know the nitty-gritties of issue, I can't be that much more helpful, because it's shooting in the dark. Maybe at one point, if you wish to maybe consult with me on Skype, and if it's something that concerns you, maybe you can just go to my site and make an appointment, and we'll explore it together. Otherwise, I'm trying to figure out how I can maybe add something here. Zahin says, Mehran, I constantly think that I won't be able to make such type of bond with my future partner that I had with my ex. Beside romantic relationship, we were also best friends. So in other words, you have given a judgment before the case appears in front of you. I hope you're not studying law, because that's totally unfair. So you have decided that whoever you're going to marry or you're going to meet in a next relationship, that woman is not worthy. That woman has nothing to offer. So you already pulled all the credibilities that woman has that brings to the table off the table. That's prejudice. How could you do that? It is no different than you say, before you met your ex that you're so hung up on, you would have the same belief as you're telling me now. That I broke up with that, but I don't know the next one I would ever be, because we were best friends. But you, nevertheless, met this girl that you now are hung up on, the ex. And you became best friend, and you thought it's just the world, yeah? So why that is possible, that before you knew that you will meet such a person, you didn't know that you will meet such a person, but you did meet such a person, because it's not about what you know, it's about what's out there. Your knowledge is limited about what's out there, what's not out there. And based on what's in your consciousness, what your past experiences are, you make a judgment about how things will be. But that's not necessarily correct, because your information is limited. Knowledge is limited, which leads to ignorance. So knowledge and ignorance goes hand in hand. So right now you're condemning yourself and someone who could be very wonderfully endowed with achievements and accomplishments and manners and morals and compatibility with you, but you already knock it down, which is contrary to the whole concept of experience in life. There's nothing that we know in this world when we are born. Every step of the way, something is new that we didn't. What if we just came with the idea of, I don't know nothing, I'm just born now, and I know that I will never know anything, and it's impossible. How's that for you? Because that's exactly like what you're saying. Because there's no difference between you at infancy and you now. Me at infancy and me now. Because always what is ahead, I don't know. And yet, it is not limited to what I know, what's in the future, what's ahead. I could only know based on what's accumulated in my consciousness, based on energies and research or whatever I could know or what I could see. But what I could see and what I could know is limited. Therefore, I can never know what's to be, what's coming. And if I go on the premise that I know, because my knowledge is limited from the past and experiences, and I can't see or I don't know what can be, therefore I doubt that there will be nothing happening. Can you do that? No. You go stand in front of the ocean, you see there are no ships. As far as you can see, you say there are no ships in the ocean, but damn well you know that there are no ships as far as you can see. But right from the center of the ocean, where you have no idea where it is, there are ships coming towards you. You just can't see them because they haven't arrived in the distance of the field of vision that you have. Therefore, your assumption of what I see is empty, no ocean, therefore there's no ships. That's only the part that you know of. You can see and you know. But what you can't see and you don't know, you don't believe. That's how people are. They only believe what they can see and what they know. And right now you don't know and you can't see it. You can't see that wonderful girl that you're hoping to be compatible or comparable or better than your ex. You can't see her lining up there. And you don't know that she will. Therefore, you say it's impossible. If that was the case, that every scientist would have wanted to conduct their findings, well, we would have gone nowhere in this world, because almost everything was unknown and seemed like it's not going to happen because we didn't see it and we didn't know it. And same thing here. So don't limit the entirety of the happening and possibilities to the amount of information and knowledge, that limited knowledge that you have in your consciousness, because that is your world and that's how you gauge the world. And if you want to do that, it's very dangerous, because that stops you and limits you from achieving anything. So in other words, you are trying to negotiate the unlimited opportunities and possibilities in life, unlimited information that is available in the reality and actuality of the universe, with the limited fragment of the knowledge that you have in your consciousness. So in other words, you're seeing the world with a limited knowledge, so you're seeing the unlimited world with the limited vision. And you think you're actually seeing the entirety of the world. But really, you're seeing the reflection of this entirety of your consciousness. And your consciousness is limited. Therefore, your whole knowledge is limited. Therefore, the whole hypothesis here that you come up with, I will never see and meet someone, is just false. So always remember, what you can't see and what you don't know doesn't mean that's the limit of what can be and what you could know later on. Having said that, let's move on. Good. You hit thumbs up. That's good. Kalani. Aloha. Mahalo Kalani. I should learn a few more words. Olga says, yes, I agree with you 100%. But you know, if a friend write to you something like, I feel bad today, and that it's not question, it is so hard not to ask why, or sometime like that, even if it's about image. Well, you know, that has another reason, Olga. If I am friend with you, even if I'm not friend with you, even if I don't know you, the living beings on this universe are connected. In our case, the human species, the energy that goes through me is the universal energy. The energy flows from one end of the universe to the other end of the universe in all directions. And through its journey to the other end of the universe, this flow will pass through me, which I've discussed in my book, Me, My Psyche and I. Mind Needs a Home, and the meditation explains exactly. There's a point 10, 20 centimeters below the navel. That's where all these energy lines that passes through one end of the universe to the other end of the universe pass through me. They join there, which is the same as center of gravity of my physical entity, which is, when you focus on that point, mind and body becomes coordinated, which is then you can actually exercise and complete the exercise that I've shown in the video that I have the end of fear, which shows somebody's trying to lift me up, which you will see what happens. And that's what I'm doing there. And if you haven't seen it, go and search for the end of fear video. Is 50 minutes, but there are 2 shorter versions of just a teaser on to show you what that video is all about. 5 minutes and 12 minutes. Some bigger man is trying to lift me up. And you watch that, and you will see this exercise that I showed there for a purpose of my seminar then. And you will see that the manifestation of coordination of mind and body takes place when your mind focuses on where your body's center of gravity is, which both are focusing on the same point, and then something amazing will happen. Which for that you can go and read it in my book, Me, My Psyche and I, and also watch that tape that I've put there. So when that energy passes through, that energy is not just passed through you and then ends and dies. It continues its travel after having joined together all at that one point and flow out. And which is, it's going to connect with the other people and other living beings in this universe, trees included, animals included. This energy is what makes us tick, makes us be alive. Ki, Japanese called, Chinese called Qi. So this energy binds us. There's a flow, there's a connection, and there's a concern. And depending on how negatively charged or positively I'm charged, depending on how I have developed my mechanism and my machine to be a capacitor for this energy, to charge it and further positively, or take these wonderful energy lifelines and use it to become a more an entity of with ability of helping other things advance and develop, grow and develop. I would naturally, depending on the people and the quality of the energy that they allow to regenerate in them and extend from them further once the universal energy flows through them, I would see this connection. I would see that old man that is there, that I'm standing on the bus station, let's say, and he says, I don't feel good, or something, and doesn't ask me anything, but I care because I'm connected with him, with the energy. The woman that is walking wobbly a little bit, I may go want to help. She didn't ask for. Non-verbally, therefore, we are expected to say it's okay. But if they verbally express emotions of some kind, if they haven't asked anything, we're supposed to not care. We care not because we're neurotic, because we actually, not because necessarily we want the image, but we actually feel, how can I help? Because we're connected, because we see others, we see ourselves in the other people's mirror. I know how it feels if I am weak, if I need something, if I feel afraid, if I need some help. I know how it is if I'm hungry. I know everyone, I am you, you are me, we are everybody. I am the society, I am the humanity. So therefore, because of that, I know he or she is like me. I feel his pain in me. So if he says something without even having asked me anything, I want to help if I can. If not, I call 911, or I call the hospital or ambulance, or I call police, or I call somewhere they can attend to this person's need if I can't help it right away. If I find it not necessary for me to, if I find it not proper, or find it not something I want to do, I don't have time to, but I care. So without going further into it, but I care. So when there's a comment coming without even asking me a question, I want to know, how is that person feeling? Maybe it's not because of the image. Maybe it's not because of my ego. Maybe it's not because I want to be feeling superior. Maybe I genuinely care because that's another human being just like me, has the same energy passing through him as through me, as through him. And we are connected through this energy. We feel the The healthier everybody is, the stronger this whole environment that helps us to grow and develop will be. So naturally, maybe unconsciously, I am interested in his well-being because that well-being means better energy for all of us, which includes me. I feel better when he's happy. These are the connections that we have. So it's not necessarily because it's neurotic or it has an ulterior motive. It's because you care, because you are him. If you understand that we are all the same, I am humanity. You are humanity. Therefore, every entity is of your interest. Their well-being is of your interest, even if it's just a word that could make them feel more secure and closer to that elusive psychological security. And it all goes to that elusive psychological security, to feel good, to be affirmed, to be helpful, and to live up to the standards that we have put for ourselves and for the others, and be part of this whole flow of energy and help things to grow and develop further. Now, G, time for another shot of this wonderful, delicious concoction. Blech. Lovely. Kalani says, Zahin, okay, that's it. You're talking to each other, okay. Zahin says, thank you, sir, for the answer. As always, your reply brings so much positive energy. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Olga says, I saw that video and didn't understand at all how he couldn't lift you up. Yes, yes, it was amazing. Yes, it was amazing. Just imagine how I felt the first time that I did that exercise in the practice hall. I was first year in university. No, I wasn't first year in university, but I was white belt. And it was totally amazing. The student who was practicing with me, because everybody had to team up 2 by 2 and then practice the exercise that the instructor just showed us. And he was a 1.5 times taller and bigger than me. He could have easily, there was no physical reason for him not to be able, especially the second before, he lifted me up so easily. It was easy for him. And of course, I went on from that, and then he couldn't. I said, oh, gee, there's something here more than what I thought this class is all about. It's not all physical. Then, of course, I was very interested to further. And then, of course, I remember I tested that on myself with all kinds of people. In the gym, when I used to train in the gym many years ago, and I'm just a regular sized person, and I had friends who were big bodybuilders there, and we would be cordial in the gym, and we would talk about these sort of things, and they were interested because some of them were my students in my class that I was teaching one of the dojos in town once a week, and I would helping people to understand their inner powers through Aikido. And these bodybuilders, which were just humongous compared to what I was, they were amazed. And it wasn't just that. In one of the demonstrations, I asked my son, at the time was 5-year-old, and I had taught him there, and he knew. And I simply, in one of the demonstrations, in one of the dojos, there was some kind of a celebration in the dojo that I was helping to teach. I was teaching this and helping them to introduce, to be more successful in that dojo with whatever else they were doing. I introduced this in that dojo, and then a celebration, when my class was doing a demonstration, I just picked somebody from the audience who was a big man, and I asked my son, 5-year-old, I asked him to put his hand underneath his arms and lift my son up. And so sure enough, a big man, 5-year-old boy, easy lift him up. And then I told my son, do now what we know how to do. same mass, same person. He tried to live. He could not understand. Because there are things in this life that is not all physical that we can see. If that was the case, how do you explain where is the connection of the heart with the frequency of the electricity that it needs to function? You can't see a wire. Yeah? Where is the connection of our brain to function? Where does it get its power, which we all know it needs electrical current, to do the thinking and the process that it does? There is no wire to our brain from the, electrical pole there. So it's not visible, is it? But there is a connection that is passing through this energy constantly. Therefore, perhaps that is why it facilitates. What about when you sleep at night and you wake up in the morning and you're very vigorous? And then you go about doing your things. And then eventually through the day, as you use your energy, you're depleted. Even if you sit on the couch and do nothing, watch TV, in the afternoon you feel, oh, you're exhausted. You're not as vigorous as you were in the morning. What is that about? And then when you sleep, again in the morning, you're charged up. Where's that coming from? Is there an energy that fills us up, like the battery of a toy, that you play with the toy and it runs out, and you take the battery, recharge it, and then you put in the toy and toy runs up and then it depletes again and you recharge it? Isn't that the case that is happening with us? We sleep, we recharge, we use it. Even if we don't move around, just sit around, it's used, facilitates our livelihood, and then we have to recharge again. Often people come from work and they say, oh, I gotta sit, take the load off of my feet. And they do that because they know if they stand all day holding something, eventually they may get tired and crumble. So they come from work and they say, they sit on the couch, put their feet up and say, I want to take the load off of my feet. But nobody you hear says, all these challenges, the most challenging in life is mental. The economic challenges and the relationship challenges, work challenges, study challenges, and bills, payments, disasters, misfortunes, all these challenges, all mental. But you don't hear anybody says, oh, I gotta take the load off of my mind, of my brain. Nobody does that. We go to the gym to strengthen our bodies, when nobody thinks about strengthening the mind, because there is a way to strengthen the mind as well. That's through meditation, which of course I explained it through my book, Me, My Psyche and I. You can definitely acquire that book and read it, enjoy it, one chapter at a time. So all these are invisible. We cannot rely and think that all our life experience should be or is based on what we can understand, what we can visibly see. There are many things for us to learn, and one small part of it is what you saw in that video, which that bigger man couldn't lift me up, which is no surprise to me anymore. I have many experiences like that, which is for another time, another session. And Olga says, yes, sometimes I can't understand if I answer because I care. I am like that. I care about people, or if it's because of an image, and that's a bit unhealthy. Thank you so much, Mehran. You're quite welcome. Don't worry, it's not unhealthy. It's just part of our conditioning. And we try to see if we can just focus on the helpful part rather than acquiring image and affirmation from the others, because then that becomes important, and then we become dependent on how other people think about us, which limits us from being free in our experience in our daily lives. Robert says, that discussion for how we are all connected was incredible. Okay. Good, Robert. Glad you enjoyed it. I feel others' emotional electricity often. I may be a highly sensitive person. Can everyone feel that highly sensitive may be only 20% of the population? Took me years to accept my perception. It's okay. Just don't sweat it too much. Don't pay too attention to it. You just, when you feel it and it's not tasking on you, that's fine. When it comes to tasking, you just if it's not necessary for you, you don't need to feel everything. Otherwise, it drains you a little bit more than it should. But of course, you can always meditate and then replenish yourself right away. When I learned how to, in our martial art classes, how to extend energy, and for headaches and backaches, and help healing students, and learning how to massage with energy and so on. When I would do it for families and friends and so on, and it would of course be draining, because it wasn't just a physical massaging. It was all connecting and then extending energy through the fingertips to the points that we had learned how to do it. And when we were not always so strong, it would be draining afterwards. You would actually feel the energy, and you need to replenish, which either through sleep or through a 15 minutes, 10 minutes meditation, you would regain that. And it would be just an amazing feeling of refreshment, and a way to feel what cannot be visible by eyes. We could feel actually what takes place when you meditate, and how you get charged up. And that charging up that we can't see, what we could actually be witness to its effects, and see and become sure that actually is part of the exchange and interchange and conflux that we naturally have with the universal energy, which we try to learn through meditation, and then expand it, enhance it, and use that flow of energy inwardly, not just when we meditate or when we sleep, also when we are walking around, running around, playing sports, and have the energy replenish, which would help us to run out of energy much later than we would normally do if we didn't know this technique of having the conflux and interchange, replenishing, happen all the time while we're using the energy. Not just use it, finish it, and then replenish, but use it and replenish at the same time. These are fascinating topics. I hope that one day when it's ready and we have enough people, we can have a meditation session that we could all enjoy and just feel amazingly wonderful, and be connected more with the flow of the energy of the universe. So, having said that, I don't want to spook you guys out when some people may not be aware of all these things and say, wow, these are not new. Okay, Robert says, I made a phrase you're reminding me of. What is invisible is often lost in its deniability. Olga says, I want to buy your book. We'll go travel for 10 days tomorrow, then return and buy it, I guess. I think transient thoughts will be helpful for me. Well, Olga, if you are going to get it in the ebook version, then do it tonight and take that with you, and perhaps you read a chapter wherever you are, and that would be something that perhaps could enhance your experience. You may find somewhere wonderful and you want to sit and read a chapter of something that you would be interested in. Anyhow, you're welcome to do it, and that's a good thing. So guys, it is 1 hour and 43 minutes that we have spent here. I think it's time for me to be alone with my wonderful concoction of tea, just in case I want to throw up, then you guys wouldn't have to see it. Well, let me let me see if I can finish this blessed thing. There's a lemon seed in it. Okay, that's done. Okay, guys, thank you very much for being with me, spending this time with me. I love you all and hope that you will take good care of yourself. And Olga, I hope you will have a wonderful trip, and look forward for all of you to talk to you again next. Don't forget to click on like before you all go, if you haven't done it yet. Good, you're welcome, Olga. It is a lovely time when you guys are all here as well. You're quite welcome. And so guys, look forward to talk to you soon, and be good to yourself, to the others, and take good care of yourself in the meantime, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Ah, it's already finished, finally. Thanks.